Shalom, shalom. As far as unwanted attention, faggots, and it's not because they're bad people. This is not a character assassination. It's so much deeper. Spirit realm is so much deeper. But when faggots give unwanted attention, or anyone gives unwanted attention, and it stems from being double-minded, unstable in general, and having unclean spirits, wicked spirits, foul spirits on them in general. I'm only tired because I just woke up. That's why I'm tired. I ain't clocked in yet. But they somehow they figured out for themselves ways to molest heterosexuals by entrapping us against ourselves, I guess. Well, how does homosexual entrap you against yourself? Somehow they figured out they can lust or make anyone they want feel uncomfortable in a workplace, in a grocery store, anywhere in the Holy Bible Live. And if you retaliate or say something about it they don't like, they could call 911 and accuse you of what? A hate crime. That's what I mean by entrapment. That's what I mean by molestation. It's premeditated, it's deliberate, it's cerebral. It's a variant of his or her sexual perversion, and fallout from there, wires being fried and whatnot. But they understand they can blackmail you anyway. Most of you never consider your greatest weapon. Someone is making you uncomfortable in a checkout line, in a restaurant, a grocery store, trying to what is this? Somebody whose wires are crossed or fried to the point that watching your cringe animations in your members, watching the level of discomfort is where the arousal comes from. That's how the sadist, S-A-D-I-S-T, that's how the sadist or sadistic form of dopamine is extracted in that exchange. Because the wires are so fried to the point, the heart wax cold, conscious seared over to the point, the biblical definition or explanation of psychopathy and or sociopathy. In his demented echo chamber, somewhere in the back of his mind, he thinks there's a chance they may convert you, as bad as that sounds. Anyway, you never used your greatest weapon, the gospel. It doesn't matter where you are. Political correctness, if it's appropriate, inappropriate, those concepts don't matter. You want your dignity or not? Pull your phone out. Play some gospel music. Turn it all the way up. Turn that speaker all the way up. It doesn't matter who's around. Use your greatest weapon. Pull your cell phone out. Play your favorite gospel music. Now, why do I say it that way? It's only a matter of time. Legion within that individual can only tolerate so much Jesus, so much worship music. They can only those demons. I didn't say, see, we're not discussing flesh. We're not discussing physical realm. Legion within that person's spirit can only deal with so much Jesus before they will quickly remove themselves from that area and remove themselves far away from you. All praise to the Most High Abba Yah, His Son Jesus the Christ of Nazareth, Yeshua HaMashiach. Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Part 2. So not using your greatest weapon, the gospel, in the middle of a war zone. Because this is a spiritual battle, so I'm saying to you, inadvertently, fleshly weapons ain't not gonna work. A fleshly arsenal not gonna work. Things of the spirit have to be fought with things of the spirit. You can't fight a demon with carnal things. Anyway, I laid that foundation. And this part 2 is only for context, only to provide clarity. I shouldn't have to say it out loud, but this is not satire. It's not some kind of black humor. Anyway. Everything in context, everything with a grain of salt, always. Many of you may have already, maybe not, heard the analogy of walking into a dark room and then cutting on a flashlight, or walking into a dark room and then cutting on your cell phone or your iPad and witnessing the power of the light and how it cuts through darkness, and then how the opposite is not true. Darkness can never cut through light. His science project was not rigged that way. The inner gears, mechanics of his science project as it pertains to quantum theory, it's not designed that way. It wasn't things were not rigged that way. Anyway, this part 2 is mostly just insurance. Lay myself insurance against the wager I placed with the first video. Insurance against deflection, denial, dismissiveness. The Bible is a fairy tale book. Harry Potter. God isn't real. There's no magic guy in the sky with all-knowing power, supreme power. Angels are not real. Demon spirits are not real. Figments of your imagination, blah, 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 etc. Those types of broken, warped, deranged utterances, I'm laying myself insurance against with this video. All right. With quick observation, some mental exercise, in response to gospel music that sliding scale from mediocre adverse reactions to significant adverse reactions, verbal abuse, physical assault, using an outdoor voice, only standing a couple of feet away from you. Moments prior, suddenly was well composed, enjoying themselves, extracting whatever generic form of dopamine they were extracting out of your level of discomfort, your level of cringe, your level of dissatisfaction in your animations, in your members of your body. In non-cognitive response to said individual forcing themselves on you against your will, as it pertains to spirit of lust, flirting, or some other variation of their sexual perversion in their spirit. And then deflections like take a chill pill, calm down. But did you die? What's the big deal? Jesus freak. Stupid Christian. Why are you overreacting? You know. Did you die? You know. This is not this, and I'm gonna stress it over and over. These are not character assassinations. Superior complex, religious spirit, Pharisee spirit. It's just a calculus. Period, point blank. It's a pattern recognition. Anyway. These kinds of deranged, detached, morally bankrupt utterances within context pertaining to a practicing homosexual, lesbian, forcing themselves, whether it's flirting, it's lusting, whatever, forcing themselves with any type of flirting is how I'm using force, how I'm using that word. Any type of animation against my will that pertains to sexuality, sensuality, insinuates a sexual activity against my will. It's how I'm using that word force. That's where the entrapment comes from. It's against my will. The feeling is not mutual here. That's how I'm using entrapment here. These kinds of demented, detached, morally bankrupt utterances in response. Okay. Individuals they do have kosher soul ties with mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, auntie. %, I believe, 100%, they are wonderful, wonderful human beings. And you have to take in context, I'm speaking from my own hand history, my own recall, life experiences, the public school system, these plantations, etc. How can I say that? I already alluded to the fact spiritual battles require spiritual weapons. So, in another aspect, what does that mean? From another angle, what does that mean? We're not discussing tangibles here. We're not discussing physical realm here so much. Age, demographic, gender, ethnicity. Sin is the problem. Creation is not the focus here. Physical realm is not the focus here. Sin is the problem. Sin, that's the problem. That's how I can say those things. Back to the initial illustration at the top of the utterance. And then insurance against bogus claims, bogus deflections. Angels are not real, demons are not real, God is not real, etc. If you ever end up in these scenarios and you play gospel music, if you ever get significant adverse reactions, the question to ask now in that spot, why? Now, how do we perform mental exercise here? Did you have the speaker turned all the way up on your phone watching gore videos, decapitation videos, bestiality videos, women receiving oral sex, from canines, men having anal sex with canines, women being penetrated by horses, etc. Pornography or child pornography, or a man or a woman having sex with dead corpses. No. These kinds of mental exercises are what it means to build context. Provide context, clarity, so that whatever point you're trying to make is crystal with that audience. The answer is no. Okay? These significant, gross adverse reactions, verbal abuse, physical threats, death threats, on the very high end, spitting towards you, profanity, but not really profanity, death threats, throwing something at you to injure you, all variations of, here, psychopathy. They're insinuating they're going to hurt you, or worse, psychopathy. But no, you did not have your speakerphone. The point, you did not have your speakerphone in the grocery store, in the break room, on a plantation, on an airplane. No, scratch that. No. I take back the airplane. No, I take that back. But in a terminal, airport, train station, on a bus stop, in a crowded area like a state fair, in an area that's family friendly, like water parks, a public swimming pool, somewhere that's family friendly, where parents are going to bring their children. The answer is no. These adverse reactions were not in response to you playing videos, providing very, very intimate details. How to perform some terrorist act, you know, how to replicate 9/11, how to replicate Katrina, a Timothy McVeigh, how to start a cult, replicate a Charles Manson. I can't think of the guy's name. Another Anglo-Saxon devil, a Freemason, who came up with the motto for the Jehovah's Witnesses. I can't think of his name, but how to replicate a modern day cult. Or, you know, pornography, or any variation of pornography, whether it's child pornography, bestiality, necromancy, all that garbage. And then real quick, again, why judgment has to come. Babylon has to fall. Babylon has to fall. Real quick, a bogus mainstream narrative, a bankrupt narrative, ideologically speaking, in nanoseconds, they will gaslight you. You say what they don't like as it pertains to some practice under the umbrella of homosexual, under the umbrella of LGBT. You will quickly be labeled homophobic. When the last time you heard the term as it pertains to commercial news, the mainstream news? When's the last time you heard terms like beastophobia, pedophobia, necrophobia? And then the question to ask next, why or why not? These kinds of hypocrisies and many more, as well as many more, judgment must come. Babylon must fall. Babylon must fall. But the answer is no. It's in response to gospel songs, gospel music, worship music. And that's a good enough hedge against polar opposite narratives, deflections, dismissiveness, denial, outright or inadvertently, indirectly. No such thing as demon possession. No such thing as angels, demons. That's good enough insurance for me. As far as Jesus freak against stupid Christian, up against you're taking that way too far. You're exaggerating way too far. You're taking that way out of context. You're doing too much against. You're being extra right now against. You're a moron against. But you're not college educated against. So much massive variance, negative variance. And then the taking out of context or against, you're exaggerating way too much. Those kinds of empty accusations, meaning they hold no water intellectually, is the reference I made alluding to the wires being fried, wires being crossed the wrong way. People with a spirit of sexual perversion on them, a spirit of homosexuality on them. When clearly, from all sides in any scientific journal, which you don't need, all you need is Genesis chapter 2, but I mean it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. The male takes his private member. He inserts his member into the female's private member. 9 months later, after being impregnated, female has child. Man, woman, raised child. I mean, it's not rocket science. Dear Lord. Dear Lord, man. Come on. Come on. All these gaslights. I mean, at this point, I don't even need any more insurance. I mean, I'm solid. I'm golden right now. I mean, why judgment has to come to Babylon? Why Titanic will sink? Hypocrisies inside a labyrinth of hypocrisies. It should be clearly understood, all-knowing God within application of his science project. We're not disingenuously create an oxymoron whereby he would create a species, but that species would only be one sex, or that species would not be able to reproduce. Therefore, it would extinct itself. If after the date of birth that creation was given an expiration date, meaning could not have immortality, which we did, but we lost in the garden. You think it would be clearly understood and maybe for those who are far ahead of me in the game in knowledge and wisdom, who can play poker so much better, have so much more life experience, can think through the hand so many levels deeper than where I'm at right now in my walk, my season with the Christ, our King. That right now, the season I'm in are inconceivable, cannot be fathomed, etc. Where I'm at now, okay. It could be construed as heresy. That is not my intent. The intent is not to speak against, deny, discredit, or challenge God's word. I am not challenging the Holy Scriptures. I am not challenging God's word. I am not challenging the validity of a stronghold. Or a soul tie, as it pertains to one practicing homosexuality, or one who has covenant with the spirit of homosexuality. I am not challenging God's word. For what? Carnal answer. When I was addicted to pornography, that was a stronghold. I had a covenant with pornography. That's why when I was younger, like 20-year-old, 19-year-old, that's why I was masturbating like 3 times a day with all the hormones, testosterone, etc. And then the learning curve is crawl, walk, run. The learning curve is crawl, walk, run. Yeah. Yeah, you become led, influenced, then covenant is formed. Yeah. So there's nothing to challenge. All you have to do is go over your own hand history. Do a recall over your own life experiences anyway. But I had to say that to say this, that you I know what I just said, but at some point in one's introverted analysis, you think it would be understood to atheists, to self-proclaimed, agnostic or lukewarm, pagans, Wiccans, Satanists, etc. No, I take back Satan. No, they know God is real. No, I take that back. Some point you think it would be understood. If I spill my seed unprofitably, how does that profit the Lord, if he does exist? If I spill my seed unprofitably, then how does that profit the Lord thy God? If I was truly the creator of the universe truly made me this way, I was born this way, type of rhetoric, I mean, it's self-deception. It's not a legitimate calculus. It's self-deception. But if I was truly born this way, why would he design me to go extinct? Or why would he design me, but in doing so strip away the desire to procreate? Understanding as a third party for this illustration, why would he rig his social experiment that way? Whereas I cannot replicate or continue my bloodline. Anyway, I'm gonna let that go because it's such a bad calculus. I'm gonna let that go. All praise to the Most High Abba Yah, His Son Jesus the Christ of Nazareth, Yeshua HaMashiach. Shalom.